When I built my first vertical garden, the initial goal was to capture as much solar radiation as possible. I did not realize at that time that sunlight could become too much of a good thing. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hydro Gardening channel, the home of vertical food gardening. It is well known that plants capture solar energy using the green pigment chlorophyll. They do that through the process called photosynthesis. My initial concern when I started to work in my small backyard was to be able to intercept sufficient direct sunlight so I could maximize the food production capacity of our garden. The whole idea of starting a vertical food garden was to capture more solar energy and produce more food in a small area. I did not think at that time that excessive solar radiation is as damaging to plants as it is to people. In other words, plants get sunburnt as well. Fruits, leaves and stems can get totally damaged to the point they are not able to recover. The first vertical garden system I developed left my plants particularly exposed to excessive solar radiation. I did not think about that until it was too late. I placed my plants on a metal mesh in a way that the plants received a lot of direct sunlight most of the day. And those plants were directly exposed to the afternoon sunlight coming from the west. On top of that, we used to have part of our backyard covered with concrete, so sunlight was also reflected from that surface onto the vegetables. In hindsight, my initial setup was a disaster waiting to happen, and I did not have to wait too long to learn my lesson. During the first heat wave after I planted my vertical garden, the temperature began to increase rapidly that day. At midday, the temperature had already reached 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit. Even the soil temperature in the planters was quite high as well. All the plants were being affected, but the damage was more evident on the basil leaves. It was sad to see leaves totally burned. As a safety mechanism, when plants get wilty, leaves becomes less exposed to the sun. But in this case, not even wilting helped my basil plants. There was no way those burnt leaves would be able to recover. The only thing I could do at that stage was to try to cover the plants with shade cloth. If you decide to build a vertical garden on a wall that receives a lot of sunlight, you will need to have some shade cloth handy for those very hot days. There are different types of shade fabric that can be selected specifically for the fruits and vegetables you are growing. For heat-loving vegetables such as tomatoes and capsicums or bell peppers, you can use a 30% shade fabric. For other vegetables that need to be more protected, such as spinach, lettuce, broccoli, you could select a shade cloth closer to 50%. The important thing is to take into account the possibility that parts of your vertical garden may end up receiving much more solar radiation than what you expect. And in those cases, you will have to be prepared to do something about it.